program is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Network is the American Family Radio Talk Network, AFR Talk. Now, we've talked about this before. It's getting tougher and tougher for the mainstream media to pursue their narrative. You heard Jeff put together a montage at the top of the hour. All of these sound bites of liberals describing the 19-year-old as a kid. He's a kid, he's a kid, he's a kid. Trying to emphasize his immaturity, his youthfulness, how easy it would be for him to be manipulated, how much of a victim he is in this of his older brother, how he was manipulated, how he was controlled. He's really not responsible. It's all his older brother's fault. I mean, that's the whole narrative there. This guy is a victim. And they're going to relentlessly try to stir up sympathy for this guy in that way. And then the other thing we're going to hear over and over again, lone wolves, all by themselves, acted all by themselves. Now we discover that the Russian authorities repeatedly, I emphasize repeatedly, contacted our FBI to warn them about Tamerlan, the older brother, and reported to our security authorities that he had met multiple times in Dagestan with an imam, a radical jihadist imam. We just ignored it, buried it, went nowhere. Can't keep track of them all. And so the next thing we know, 3 people have been blown up. So it's hard to sustain the lone wolf narrative. FBI is still looking for this sleeper cell consisting of 12 people. Now, but that doesn't stop this Georgetown professor. This is clip 2. Amy, Georgetown professor Charles King, he's on with Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. By the way, their ratings went absolutely, completely in the tank in the coverage of the shooting on Friday. It's Fox that came out smelling like a rose. Fox shot to #1 in all of cable. That's unheard of. The last time that happened, Fox News 2005 Hurricane Katrina. But when people wanted to see what was happening with the manhunt, where did they turn? They turned to Fox News. 1 million more people watched Fox than watched CNN. CNN came in third on Friday, but that was 1 million less. Well, that was actually average for the week. Big spike on Friday. Fox News had 1 million more viewers a day than CNN. USA, which is normally #1 on cable, came in #2. And MSNBC in the tank down to the 19th spot in cable primetime rankings, less than 1 million viewers on average for the week. So anyway, nobody's watching Rachel Maddow and her Georgetown professor Charles King. But listen to this. Listen to how far these guys will go, the lengths to which they will go to try to avoid blaming Islam for what happened here. Let's listen.
These guys grew up in a particular kind of community with a particular kind of history. They had a certain kind of background. But at the end of the day, if we're looking for motivation for this particular act, I think it's going to lie in the way that they were radicalized in the United States, on the internet, visiting chat rooms, putting their own kind of lives into some kind of narrative about this nihilistic, millenarian, sort of anti-Western, anti-modern jihadist ideology that you find in lots of different kinds of communities around the world.
If they did. We have some evidence of a YouTube page that we think may connect to the older brother that posted some radicalized YouTube clips. The younger brother, there's very thin evidence of anything.
Well, and keep in mind that on the elder brother, Tamerlan's YouTube channel, there are an equal number of rap videos.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know why we tend to focus on this one particular aspect, because these guys, frankly, have a lot of consonants in their names. And we're kind of worried about that somehow. But in lots of other contexts of mass killing, we go to other kinds of motivations. And I think we really ought to look at those in this case as well.
So this guy's at Georgetown. He's a professor at Georgetown, one of the most prestigious universities in the country. He says rap music is to blame for this. You want to look for a cause, got to be rap music. He had as many rap videos up there as he did videos about taking out infidels. So that is the lengths to which they go. Now, Bill O'Reilly, I've had my issues with Bill O'Reilly. I got on his frame for referring to us as nothing but Bible thumpers in the debate over same-sex marriage, when the reality is pro-family people hardly ever refer to the Bible. I mean, it was actually got to be a problem for me. It was like we were avoiding the Bible. That's our strongest argument. God has defined marriage. What God has defined, man must not redefine. We shouldn't hesitate to make that argument. But it seemed like we were so nervous about being accused of being Bible thumpers, that we didn't even refer to the Bible, let alone thump it. Anyway, Bill O'Reilly, sometimes he does good stuff, and he's locked on to this Islam deal, and he has Nihad Awad, who is the spokesman for the Council on American Islamic Relations. That's CARE. That's a Muslim Brotherhood group. CARE is an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest terrorist fundraising trial in history, 2007. They were unindicted. They're a co-conspirator. The FBI said, look, we just don't have time and resources to get to them. We would indict him and prosecute him if we could. That's who this guy is. But he's the face of Islam in America. Now, O'Reilly's got him on, and O'Reilly is not going to settle for PC when it comes to the role of Islam in all this. And so they have a pretty vigorous exchange. Here's a little over a minute of it. Let's listen.
I don't have time for a speech, so you got to go back and forth with me, okay?
Bill,
not admitting that radical Islam drives worldwide terrorism puts you into a category where you have no credibility because the facts are the facts. 90% of worldwide terrorism is radical Islam.
You go, Bill.
Period.
You made your statement. Allow me to share with you what Islam means to me.
No, I don't want to hear about what Islam means to you, with all due respect.
I think
that's
you
not
should.
the topic.
Your viewers too.
No, my interview is this. You just said that radical Islam is not the driving force of terrorism in the world, when that's an absurd statement.
I
It's
think
absurd.
your statement is absurd because you're trying to redefine religion for me. You're trying to define my faith to me, and I'm telling you,
not.
Islam.
I'm telling you that radical Islamists, under the banner of jihad, are causing the most intense terrorism the earth has ever seen, and you're denying it. So either you're naive, or you're just way out of touch. Do you not have a television set?
So that's Bill O'Reilly, and I give him props for that. He's right on the money here. 90% of worldwide terrorism is radical Islam, period. And he would not let this Awad fella slide off of that. O'Reilly says, I'm telling you that radical Islamists under the banner of jihad are causing the most intense terrorism the earth has ever seen, and you're denying it. So, the bottom line here, I think, as I listen to Bill O'Reilly, and I commend him for confronting this Nihad Awad, who always gets away with these softball interviews and makes Islam sound so peaceful and peace-loving and all that. O'Reilly's right up in his grill here and won't let him blow any smoke up his nose. But then my question for O'Reilly is, okay, what do we do about it? Now, I'm proposing a solution. I'm proposing we suspend Islamic immigration. I propose that we suspend the building of any more mosques in America. We shut down the building of mosques. And I propose that we stop enlisting Muslims in the United States military. Those are three solutions that I propose. So my question for Bill O'Reilly and for the others that recognize that the problem is Islam and Islamic fundamentalists, how do you propose to protect us from them? Now, Charles Krauthammer's got a good soundbite. I got that queued up. That's number 4. And he's talking here in his soundbite about the absurd lengths to which President Obama goes to avoid fingering Islam as the root cause of terrorism. Let's listen.
I say I don't know what he's thinking, but I sure know what he's saying and doing. The lengths to which he will go to avoid telling us the truth about the enemy is becoming comical. It's certainly embarrassing. For example, he will never forget about the word jihadist. He'll never use that. But he refuses to use the word Islamist, which is used throughout the Muslim world. It's used by journalists, by authors, on the street, in the parliament, everywhere in Egypt. It's used in Lebanon. It's used everywhere by Muslims. And yet Obama won't touch it because he refuses to use any words that might imply a connection between radical Islam and terrorism, which, as anybody who's over the age of 9 knows, is the single greatest cause of terror in the world today. I'll give you one example which was completely overlooked by everyone. It was a rather trivial one. When he was in Israel, he gave a speech in Jerusalem. And in the middle of the speech, he talked about the rise of the Islamist parties in Egypt and elsewhere, the Brotherhood in Egypt, in Libya, etc. And what was the phrase he used? We have to be concerned about the rise of non-secular parties. What a weird word to use. The word is religious parties. The word is Islamist parties. Yet even in this trivial throwaway line in the speech in Jerusalem, he refuses to use the obvious word.
You know, and this goes back, I mean, we have a lot of people in America, a lot of good friends of mine are absolutely convinced that President Obama is a secret Muslim. Now, we don't know that for a fact. We know that the Egyptian foreign minister said that President Obama told him in a private conversation, I am a Muslim, give me time and you'll see it. So according to him, again, that's a he said, but he said that President Obama told him in a private conversation, I am a Muslim. We've talked about the ring that he wears that seems to have an Islamic inscription on it. But one of the things we know without a question is that President Obama is hostile to conservative Christianity, and he is sympathetic and protective of Islam. He goes out of his way. I mean, he has Ramadan dinners in the White House, and he says wonderful things about Islam. And the Holy Quran, it's always the Holy Quran, talks about the marvelous contributions of Islam to the world. And I'm trying to think, what contributions has Islam made to the United States? Where is the list of what Islam has contributed to the United States? Now, the number to call if you want to join the conversation about this Islam business, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. One last clip. Let's grab the Dershowitz clip number 5. This guy's hardcore leftist, and this guy, I'll give him the answer to his question. Let's listen. Alan Dershowitz, hardcore leftist, there's something he doesn't understand.
And I don't understand the way some people on the left glorify American terrorists without realizing that it's indistinguishable morally from the kinds of terrorism we're condemning here, and I just don't buy it.
Well, Alan, the answer is simple. I went through this yesterday. The reason that people on the left glorify terrorists is they have the same goal: the destruction of Christianity and the dismantling of America as it was founded. They have a common enemy, conservative Christianity, and America as founded. So no wonder the left glorifies the Muslims. They're getting about blowing up people to accomplish the task. Focal Point AFR Talk.